no doubt. I always get, so how much money could I make by next week or in 2 weeks or whatever? And I always say, you're not going to like this answer. I'll tell you, you probably won't make anything. And I can't tell you how much you're going to make because I don't know you and I don't know how much you're going to dial and what your work ethic is and what your discipline is. I always say, is it possible for you to make six figures? Yes, it is. Is it possible for you to by next year hit $400,000 a year? It is possible. But is it likely? No, because most people don't have what it takes. Do you have what it takes?
All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Michael Garcia here, IC Life, and I'm joined today by a very special guest, Jessi Park of Inspired Insurance Solutions. Jessi is honestly somebody I just look up to. Amazing agency in the health industry and life and health. And I want to, go with her on her journey because I know she is a survivor. She is a fighter, and she's built something truly amazing. And I do tell Jessi that she has built one of the most cleanest, simplest platforms in Inspired for agents to just make it easy for them to get going and succeed. And so, Jessi, I appreciate you joining me today.
Yeah,
And I
thank
know
you for having me, Michael. I appreciate it. And thank you for all those kind words. Don't stop.
it's truly something because I've been with Family First, before I started IC Life, and a lot of times, agents are running around, they don't know what to do, and there's trainings, and they have it's so confusing sometimes, and even with the amount of carriers. And I read your book just so to prepare for this. I was like, I've been getting to know you a lot better now, and but I was like, I'm going to read your book so I know. But that's one of the things you talk about is keeping things simple.
Yeah.
And so um, I do I do believe in starting with the end in mind, right? And so I want to take a quote out of your book, and it says, "This industry is truly survival of the fittest. It has a natural way of weeding out those without grit, longevity in mind."
Hmm.
And if you can just dive, because I know you have quite an interesting story, and you're a true example of this, but take us back to like when you started, and I know that grit, came into play.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, I guess if we're rewinding time back almost 10 years, I got let go from a job that I'd had for a while unexpectedly, like very unexpectedly. There were no indications. It was just random, and I was devastated. That's all I had. We were comfortable, me and my kids, we were comfortable, and carpet just got ripped out underneath me with just someone's decision. And I was just devastated. I was crying inconsolable on the way home. I didn't know what I was gonna do. While we were like comfortable, I also still lived pretty much paycheck to paycheck, like waiting to, for the bills to come. And I knew which bills came out of this paycheck. But I mean, like, we had money for extra things like escape rooms, and I had a nice car, and like, it's just corporate America. Like you just live to work. And so they fired me, they let me go. And that evening I signed up for food stamps and unemployment. And it was just like a blast from the past because like I would go on government assistance as a single mom when like especially in 2008, that was a rough year. I got laid off twice. But I mean, for the most part, I had jobs. And so, going and I put myself through school. I have a bachelor's degree, and getting going back on government assistance, like I felt like a failure. And I had had a friend who had joined an insurance group called US Health, and she had gotten her license. And I thought to myself, like, what do I have to lose? What do I have to lose? Like, I'm not working anyways, so let me go ahead and get this license. I got my license in 4 days. Monday was a holiday. It technically would have been 3 days, but I couldn't test on the Monday because it was a dang holiday. Labor Day to be exact. And so yeah, I actually just surpassed my 9-year license anniversary. And so then I joined, I started dialing and selling insurance, and I felt so embarrassed. Like, this is not what my life is supposed to be. I'm not supposed to be dialing. I'm an educated professional with a very nice resume. Like, this is not what I should be doing. And so, but insurance had me, my captive attention though, because I heard a word I'd never heard before, which was residual. I didn't know what that meant. And then I saw the illustration and I was like, wait, so if I work now, I get money in the future? Like, how is that true? And so I hopped around a couple different agencies because finding the right one is really difficult.
Yeah.
And I landed with the FMO partner I still am at today. So I'll be celebrating my 9 years with them in December. And they had me at two words, free leads. Free leads. Because the other ones charge so much money for leads. And so I am thankful to US Health in a way, while their product is, I don't want to get sued again. While their product is lacking, they do teach work ethic. And so I learned how to dial and I learned how self-discipline, right? And you got beat up there. If you blanked, that means you didn't sell anything. It was basically like hazing. You got humiliated in front of everyone. It was really hardcore Wolf of Wall Street sales. And that made me feel icky. I didn't like that at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, so whenever I found free leads, I kept that same work ethic and like I really pushed myself to work, you know, if I could work 40 hours for my old boss, I could work 50 hours for myself. That's what I told myself. And so I did. And I really wanted to see if the residual income thing was true because you start getting residual income. Well, back then we had a different pay structure model. You started getting residual income on month 7 because you had a 6-month advance. And I was like, if I could just outlive this advance, and if I get a residual check, then I'll know this industry is like, it's actually true. They're not lying to me. So I made a promise to myself that I would work until month 7. And if in month 7 they were liars and I didn't get a residual income check, I was going to go get me a real job. And so, but I didn't just fiddle for 7 months. I actually really, really worked. So I dialed 400 to 600 a day. And before I know it, at the end of 7 months, not only did I get residual income, but I also had written $1 million in business. And that to me like opened my eyes because then once you write $1 million in business, like you can start building an agency. And I never, in my wildest dreams, if you had asked me, let's just even say 10 years ago, what I'd be doing, I never ever would have said insurance agency owner. It just was not in my cards at all. Yeah, so I never would have thought I would have been an insurance agency owner. So like even like back then, whenever I was transitioning from dialing to building a team, it's not just cold turkey. You can't just stop doing personal business because your personal business is what pays your bills. And if you get an override on someone, it's small, right? So you have to have quite a large team to be able to live off of overrides, right? And so, and I always preface this by saying like, I didn't come into the industry knowing anyone. I had never been given like a lead from an upline. I had never been given a recruit from an upline. And no handouts, no nepotism, nothing. And I still, fast forward 9 years later, am one of the top performing agencies in all of the country. And the only thing is just that I didn't quit. So I didn't give up on writing policies. I still recruited while writing. So that would look like dialing from like 9 to 12 clients and then connecting on LinkedIn and dialing off Indeed and ZipRecruiter for like 3 hours. And then servicing clients. Like it was for the first 6 years, nonstop work. But the thing is that like you said, end goal in mind. To me, my end goal is not 100K. Like while that's good money, and I'm proud of you if you make that, that's change. That's not anything drastic that's going to change your life. And so for me, my end game was, and I'm still not done yet because I actually want to farm. I want at least 10 acres. So like we're still not there yet. But
Yeah.
and I diversified. I opened up a couple e-commerce businesses a few years ago, and I want those to do well, and it's a lot of investment into them. And yeah, it's just for me, the end result is I'm still young. I still have 20 plus years until I retire. And I'm not done until I know that my children, and they don't have children yet, I'm not a grandma yet, but my children have it easy because I had it so hard and I don't want that for them.
Yeah. My favorite part of the book was your kids, and I want to bring that at the end. But you said a few things there, right? Like you just didn't give up, you just didn't quit. And I know yesterday I was actually on the phone, two big phone calls where it's like, hey, these are huge opportunities that are on my plate now, that I can capitalize on. But I thought about it, like I wouldn't have these conversations if I would have quit,
Hmm.
right? And so if you can take me back, Jesse, because I really like to make this encouraging, especially for new agents, right? New people growing their business. Because one of the things I know you've talked about, and I've heard you say, is when you started dialing, you didn't make your first sale for I think
Months.
3 weeks
No,
or
well, so
months,
we're talking about US Health, it was 4 months.
four
Like
months.
third, fourth month. It was around Thanksgiving because I started in August. So it was a while. And then it was actually Thanksgiving that same week was the straw that broke the camel's back with US Health because they required us to work on Thanksgiving, and they threatened like to turn off leads and take away your CRM and like, and I just like, that's just, I'm not a child. I didn't like being treated like that. So that's actually the straw that broke the camel's back. So I got my first sale the exact same week that I decided later on that I was leaving. But I don't know if I should be saying this, but all those leads I dialed for all those months, they ended up calling me back and I ended up making, but I had already moved on. So I had other products to offer them. So
Right.
yeah.
That's awesome. No, and I bring that up because like when you talk about not giving up, that has to be incredibly frustrating to go 4 months
On food
with,
stamps.
without a sale.
Oh yeah. No, it was scary.
And
It was really scary. There were times where I really thought my car was going to get repoed. And the funny, like the ironic part of all of that is I had just got that car in July and I had gotten let go in August. So it was a brand new car that I treated myself to. So I'm driving around in a brand new car on food stamps. Like talk about embarrassing. So I really thought I was going to walk out. I used to dial in the library because I hadn't taught myself or learned the discipline of working from home and
Mhm.
what that means. Also, like training your children to let you work from home, right?
Yeah.
That's a whole different subject. So I would set aside hourly dials in the library. And so I remember always kind of like being afraid walking out of the library and like, oh, hopefully they didn't find me here. They don't know I'm here. And I eventually did get caught up and got caught up with my bills and then moved to a new place. Like when I made partner, I moved to a new place, renting still. And I used that apartment to kind of build my business and my team. And my team would come over and we dial at my apartment dining room table together. And I used that apartment to like build everything. I ended up saving, paying off my student loans in full, saving up for a house. I bought my first house in 2019 on my own. Pretty cool stuff. It was on a lake. In 2020, I bought a commercial building. It's how fast things grow. And then in 2023, I sold both of those properties and used that income to move to Georgia, where I have a pretty fancy house here.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm a little bit jealous. It's like when you're in the industry, it's like to some people, like at my level, like, oh, that guy is incredible.
Hmm.
And then at my level, it's like you're always leveling up. And I think Patrick Bet David talked about this. Like yeah, you go to the next level and you're at the bottom again. And so I
Yeah.
look at like where you're at, I'm like, oh, it's
It
like,
kind of feels like that to me too, because like I live in a really nice area of Georgia, and like I see all these big houses and they're on like 10 acres and they have horses, and I'm like, I want that next, and I have a lot also too, um, and this a piece of advice probably won't do a lot of people well, but one of the things that I would do over is that there was a point in time whenever, because you get like penalized from the IRS. Like if you make too much money, the taxes are crazy. So they encourage you to buy things that you can use for your business, right? So like I bought a G-Wagon one year, because it's like heavy and it's something with the taxes or whatever. And then you just kind of like get in that groove of like, oh, well, I need to spend money so I don't give it to Uncle Sam. And I get all of that. I just wish I had, like, how do you say it? Like, I wish I had found something to invest in sooner than cars. Because I was kind of silly. I bought a Lamborghini and, I've since calmed down. I've had one car for 3 years now and I love it. And I've sold those cars and stuff. And I don't know, like I'm not a flashy person, so I felt weird driving. I love the G-Wagon, not gonna lie, that one was nice. That was my favorite car, but I felt weird driving the Lamborghini. Like I grew up poor and like I always kind of struggled in my adulthood, and then it's like, so is this the sign that I made it, that I'm driving this lame car? I don't know, I thought it was lame. And I was like, that's, it just doesn't even feel like me. Like I want me. And so wealth looks different for different people. For me, it's not fancy cars. I learned that.
yeah, yeah. And that's one thing I appreciate about you is that you're very down to earth, like you're real. And even with um your scripts, you're very conversational, right? You're just like you actually want to help the client. And like when you mentioned the Wolf of Wall Street environment
hmm
that you were in, I'm like, I can't even imagine you in that environment.
I did not do well. I don't thrive in that. I don't thrive in that kind of stuff. I am down to earth and on the shyer side and an introvert. And so like all of those things don't feel good. So yeah.
So I know you started there, you tried a couple other companies before
hmm
you landed, you end up partner with HST, and then you have your own agency, Inspired Insurance Solutions.
hmm
Um, and I'm gonna just say, I'm super proud to partner with you. Like I said, you have what I view really one of the best opportunities that I've seen in the marketplace. What would you advise? Like you've learned things in each of those steps, and of course, new agents.
hmm
You always make you just join the company that recruited you, right? You don't know what you don't know.
Right.
But if you can give a new agent advice on how to find the right home, what would you say to them?
Yeah, so always do interviews, interview different agencies. They all offer a lot of the same things, but with differences, right? And see which one works best for you. Ask for their comp schedule and ask what it looks like to eventually grow an agency. Some of them don't even give you that opportunity. Other agencies want you to recruit before you sell. I've never understood that, but I know it's a thing. And I mean, that's also weird though, because how are you going to recruit and sell the opportunity when you don't even, how silly is that? Like, oh, come join this opportunity. I've made zero money, but so look for that. I think what we stand out in offering is that we make it pretty easy to get up and going. We give you like a small portfolio of products to start off with. Yes, we have every carrier pretty much imaginable, but we start you off with just a handful just to get you going, get you comfortable on the phone. We give you scripts, what to say. You can make them your own. We have trainings, we have champion check-ins. Like we pretty much have everything that an agent could use and need to get up and be successful. They just have to want it themselves. And that was one of the biggest lessons I learned when it came to recruiting. I used to, any new recruit, I'd pour so much. You can call me at midnight. Like I would just give so much to new agents. And I remember I'd be at the office all day and I'd be so tired. It'd be like 8 o'clock at night, and someone would walk in at 7:45 p.m. to want me to listen to them dial. And I had been there all day, you know, And I finally just got to a point where, you know what? No, like I'm here for you and I want you to be successful, but here are my boundaries and we're going to stay in those. And I can't want it more than you because if you wanted it, you would have been there at 9 a.m. just like me. So that was one of the hardest lessons I had to learn is that I over and over and over again, I kept like wanting it more than they wanted it for themselves.
Yeah. No, it drives me crazy too, as somebody that's recruited plenty of people. Um, all the excuses to not join training, not do this. And I started 5 o'clock call. I'm like, okay, before all the noise
Hmm.
of I gotta go do this and that. 5 o'clock in the morning, nobody needs to be anywhere. Like now
No,
it's
what
now
do
it's
you,
simply, do you show up? Do you want it?
right,
And that's really what it comes down to. And it's like, how am I further ahead than you and I'm outworking you?
right.
And I'm sure you feel that way too. You're like, I'm way ahead of you and I'm still outworking you. And it's just like, you just have to want it and show up. You actually shared a very interesting story. I think you were interviewing somebody, but you had somebody online interviewing with you as well. And I thought I was laughing. I thought it was an amazing story, but it's that example of how bad do you want it?
Right. Right.
And
Yeah,
so,
no, I remember that. I just, you know, I'm gonna start lecturing, what is wrong with these kids? I would never show up to an interview and have that posture and, just, it's crazy what some people find acceptable, interviewing. But no, I remember that. I remember that. And, yeah, if you want it, you want it. If you don't, you don't. And the thing is though, is like the money is great, don't get me wrong. And I think everyone wants the money, but the money is not what's the end goal is freedom. And money can buy freedom. Money can buy property, where you don't have to work. It can like for me, I provide kind of like for my whole family now, right? So, and I love it. I bought my dad a house. I bought my mom a car. Jorian, my daughter, works for me. She has a pretty nice salary for a 22-year-old, and
yeah.
all that stuff feels wonderful.
Yeah. And what I like too is like you're a perfect example too that you can really do what you want to do. Like that's the freedom. And I'm looking behind you right now.
Hmm.
Tell
Oh,
us about this because I know
yeah.
you're a perfumer. You got handbags.
Yeah, so, well, a couple years ago, I diversified. Instead of the cars, I was like, why not start another business? And before insurance, my job and everything I did was super creative. I'm actually an internationally collected oil painter. I sold my oil paints for a couple years at like marketplaces, and then I had like international buyers, and I got contracts with Walmart and Bed Bath and Beyond. And so my art is like on all kinds of stuff. And I still to this day get residual checks off my art. It is not a lot, but um, and so anyways, I started a couple e-commerce companies a few years ago. One is handbags, designing executive bags for men and women. And then the other one is a perfume. So last year I went to Thailand. I went to perfumery school. And now I own Elysian Parfum and it's growing like crazy. We're going to Dubai this year, New York this year, and I make all the fragrances myself. So it's a lot of fun and it allowed like but I still do insurance. So like I will be take like selling an insurance policy and like making perfume over here. But the thing is it allows me time and the resources to do all this because if you know anything about perfume ingredients, they're not cheap. I'm not trying to brag, but this wall behind me probably is close to a half million in ingredients. So it's incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. And I look at it because it's again, it's having the discipline to say, hey, this I want to do all these things, but I have to take step one.
Hmm.
I have to make this thing happen to make this thing happen. And so,
Exactly.
um,
And you can't get distracted too soon. So I want to like also reiterate, I didn't start this stuff until I was pretty good, like well grounded. I had already hit seven figures a few times in a row, a few years in a row. So no, I wasn't trying to do it in my first or second or third year. I pedaled to the metal. I stayed focused on the prize, which is insurance, getting more clients, refining my marketing for clients. And then as my agency began to grow, becoming a better agency for my agents. And that took time too. That was a huge learning curve. I didn't have any thing to copy. I started from scratch, like just like that. Like I remember we used to use WhatsApp back in the day, and it was like four people in there. So, just growing and fine tuning. And then we found Teamico for virtual office, and then we found Top Broker for the CRM. And then, like every year or so, we find new things to fine tune the process and make it easier. And then we use Go High Level for the CRM. We had a custom recruitment CRM made for us. So just a lot of it's always growing, it's always changing, and still to this day, like now, insurance is my main thing, perfume is my hobby, but they're both businesses, and so they both take time to grow, and you got to nurture them.
And you mentioned that. I know you didn't add life till how many years were you in when you added life insurance?
Yeah, well, I mean, I always had access to life through my main FMO, but I didn't really get into it until probably where we at like 2022, I want to say, which is six 6 years into my career.
Okay, yeah, because I resonate with that, and I made the mistake myself. Like, oh, I basically saw what you had. I'm like, all these residuals, right? Life insurance, yeah, there's some residual, but it's not the
Mhm.
same as health. And so mentally, I wanted to transition to health.
Right.
And at the time, I had just left Family First Life.
Hmm.
And so I didn't even know where my life contracts were established. So I'm trying to just establish myself, reestablish myself in life, and trying to learn health at the time. Just it wasn't even reasonable to even think I could do that. And so, um, now I just feel like I'm barely just getting started with you. But that's really what attracted me, was that residual income. Like, this is perfect. But the good news is I had the experience with life, I'm more than capable to do that, like in my sleep at this point, where it's like, okay, now that everything's established, yeah, I can now add that. And so I think that's another area where I think you really excel, Jesse, is just keeping things simple. You mentioned like just giving two carriers, and hey, as long as you have, I think you said paper, pen, a computer,
Your
and
cell
two
phone.
carriers, or even one carrier, a cell phone, you're set.
You can at least start conversations with clients and you could start quoting. Back when I started in 16, we literally just had two carriers. Obamacare didn't pay anything at that point in time. So we had Allstate and United. Well, it wasn't even called Allstate back then. It was National General and United Healthcare. And that's it. That's all I had. And that's it. And so we've gotten a lot more options since then. And we've expanded into having like private major medical. It's incredible. Like the pay structure, you get paid for the life of the policy as long as the policy is active. So I always tell agents, okay, like for a family, you'll get paid 150 a month for every single month that the client has a policy. If they have it for 30 years, it's a lot of money. So that's how a lot of my agents, I love seeing them. That's probably like what brings me the most joy these days is when I see someone who resembles like myself back in the day, maybe come in struggling, lost a little bit, and I guide them. And then year after year, I see them, they hit six figures, they hit high six figures, they buy their house, they buy a car. I love that stuff.
Yeah, yeah, no, me too. And I know, like the why matters, right? And you talk about that too, and that's key to business. But I did want to, I feel like I was kind of like, I want to go from back to front on this, on your book here. My favorite part of the book, I want to read it. It says, Jalen and Jorian, my two children, this stuff, I don't mean to get emotional. I actually get emotional about this because
Yeah.
this
I,
is
I
for
mean,
me
you have a
what it's all
daughter,
about.
you have a daughter too.
I
Yeah.
have my daughter, Alyssa, yeah. And so my two children, for what seems like my entire existence, it's been just the three of us. I've tried to make you proud of, I've tried to make you proud of me and give you a life I didn't have. I absolutely love you. And I'm so proud of you wonderful humans you've become. And
Oh,
I just
you're
like,
making me cry. Yeah.
what an incredible why. And undoubtedly, Jesse, I know you've succeeded in making them proud for
Yeah.
sure. And yeah, I what a powerful why. And that's like really what it's all about. And I know you set an amazing example. I don't know if there's anything you want to say about.
I mean, it's just the odds are kind of stacked against single moms whenever I was married, he left, um, and left me with two wonderful, beautiful babies, but I was 22. I didn't I didn't know what to do. And so, yeah, for the majority of my life, it's just been me and them. And um, I just remember like the really hard days. Like I didn't have any money and he wasn't paying child support, and I like begged someone in the store to buy me some frozen chicken nuggets, and they did. And like just from that kind of life to this kind of life and like what I'm able to offer them. And it's a balance though, because I don't spoil them. And could I? Yeah, I could buy their stuff outright. But no, I want them to have responsibility and have bills. And like my son joined the Air Force. He wants to do his 6 years in the Air Force. And then, when he gets out, most likely, we've talked about it. He's going to do what my daughter's doing, which is living with me, and she pays me rent. And I put it in a high yield savings account, and we're saving up for her house. But ultimately, I want to teach them responsibility, and if they work for it, they're going to appreciate it. So, it's I love being able to do that though. If you had asked, like, that would not even have been in my wheelhouse to do anything like that before. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's how I got in the industry is my daughter became a single dad and just realized I wasn't in a position like you where it's like I struggling, I have to, but it was I'm not home.
Hmm.
Something has to change. I want to be there for my daughter while she grows up.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that just really just like hit home. And I always feel like the more I know about you, the more I relate to you because you're not the partier, right? You're the more like I'll stay at home and
Yeah.
play a game on my computer.
Yeah.
In fact,
Yeah.
I think you owe me a Hearthstone
I
challenge.
love Hearthstone.
Milo told me you don't lose in that game, so he goes,
No.
you're gonna lose. So
Do you play Battlegrounds or
uh no, I don't play a lot. So I play Hearthstone, and then a lot of like single I'm like
the Battlegrounds is the single player, but you can do matches. And
okay.
I've won first place the last 5 games I've played. So yeah, but I'm
Yeah.
definitely a stay-at-homer. Yeah, not your typical flashy insurance bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
And I
know what
appreciate
I'm
that.
talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about. We made this much money and blah blah
Right,
blah.
right. Yeah,
And I do like that too. You never really brag about your income or like sell people on some dream that you've worked hard for, years and like, oh, you're going to have this overnight. I feel like a lot of the companies they overpromise like,
right,
yeah, this guy does have it, but
right,
he's been doing it for 15, 20 years
right.
and they sell it
It
like
is
you're going to have it
possible.
overnight.
Right, it is possible, and that's the one thing that like new agents, we do a call every Wednesday at 11 a.m. a recruitment call. Like anyone that's like curious can come and ask me questions, and no doubt I always get, so how much money could I make by next week or in 2 weeks or whatever? And I always say, you're not going to like this answer. I'll tell you, you probably won't make anything. And I can't tell you how much you're going to make because I don't know you and I don't know how much you're going to dial and what your work ethic is and what your discipline is. I always say, is it possible for you to make 6 figures? Yes, it is. Is it possible for you to by next year hit $400,000 a year? It is possible. But is it likely? No, because most people don't have what it takes. Do you have what it takes? And then they're like, oh.
I've had people ask me like, what's the failure rate or success rate? How many agents make money? And I say, look, 100% of agents that commit to winning
Hmm.
win.
Yeah,
Bottom line. The industry has a 92% failure rate, I think, believe is the number. Most people fail out, but it's simply, people that weren't committed.
yeah.
They they weren't,
Or they
they
had
were in,
like They had a plan B, you
Yeah,
know.
plan B, they weren't interested. Let me check this out. Let me see if it works. Um, oh, it looks like I can add extra money, maybe like there's not a commitment level. And I think once you understand you're committed to it, you start to figure things out. And that's one of the things that I think I was blessed. I remember I left my job after 6 months and I wasn't really making money. I went from a six-figure income. The month after I left my job, I made 1,500 bucks
Yeah.
with life insurance, and
Yeah.
that was brutal, right?
Yeah.
And it took me, I didn't really start making money for even 2 more years after that.
Hmm.
My income was still very low for 2 years, and so it's like that. But because I cut off plan, the primary job,
Hmm.
I remember I did go actually look for a job at one point. I was like, maybe I need a part-time job to supplement,
Hmm.
and I remember just walking out. It was a Toyota dealership. I walked in, they interviewed me, and the manager comes, he goes, "You ready to sign your life away?"
Ugh.
And as soon as he said that, I was like, it just clicked in my head. That's exactly why I left my job in the first place.
That's what you do though, and
Yeah.
something that has resonated with me for a long time. So back in the day, my biggest fear was losing my job, and it happened, right? Today, my biggest fear would be having to get a job and
Yeah.
work for someone else.
Oh yeah. 100% agree.
Yeah.
100%. So yeah, no, I just remember walking out and I realized for the first time I was unemployable.
Yeah.
Yeah. And and at that point it's like, okay, then I have to make this work.
Yeah.
And it just forces you to figure it out.
Right.
And that's really all it is. I remember, do you listen to Tom Bilyeu? You like
No,
Tom?
I'm not
Okay.
familiar.
I'm going to introduce you. He basically says business is getting from point A to point B. It's as simple as that.
Hmm.
Your job as the business owner is to figure out all the obstacles in between.
Yeah.
And and that's really what it is. You just figure it out. And like I said, you go step by step. And I think you do an excellent job of teaching that. Um, Even in your new agent onboarding, it's, hey, it's this.
Hmm.
Uh, just get good at making the first dial and taking an intake,
Right.
right? You can get help with everything else. And that's what I mean by you have one of the best systems I've seen. So,
Thank you. I
um,
appreciate that.
Jesse, is there anything else you would want to share with the new
Um,
agent or audience?
well, I mean, I guess a good place to start, if they haven't read my book, they can always do that. You can get it on Amazon. It's Soul Beneficiary, Soul
Okay.
Beneficiary. It's a bestseller in the insurance category, which is really weird to say because insurance to me is so boring but lucrative. And then, of course, I have my workbook that is a companion book to that. It's called The Ultimate Mindset Shift, or hold on, the mind. Now I can't remember, Michael. What's my other book called? The Mindset Shift for the Ultimate Entrepreneur.
Yeah, there you
And
go.
it's a workbook, and it works you through setting up your schedule, becoming self-disciplined, time blocking, and then visioning what you want your life to look like, and then working backwards. If you want to make six figures, it kind of takes you in the step back on how to organize your day. So that one's a pretty cool book.
Awesome. Well, you're definitely a great coach to learn from. So I definitely encourage you guys to go ahead and get those books. And it's just like getting coaching from Jessi. But if you actually want to connect with Jessi, I will leave her information in the description. So feel free to reach out to her or to myself. I'll leave my information in the description as well. Other than that, until next time, I appreciate you, Jessi, being on. I thank you very much. Until next time, guys, have a great day.